Have you ever, experienced that really strange paradox where you understand a whole 2-hour movie in a foreign language perfectly, but then you completely freeze up when you try to explain, a simple 5-minute story about your weekend?
Oh, yeah. You just sit there searching for words, and suddenly your mind goes completely blank.
Exactly. And that massive gap between what your brain understands and what your mouth can actually produce well, it's not a lack of vocabulary, and it's definitely not a lack of intelligence.
No, not at all. It's actually a very specific neurological bottleneck. It's known as the B1 plateau.
Right. And welcome to this deep dive. I am your host, Demian.
And I am your co-host, Carol. We are the creators behind the Smart English YouTube channel where we help learners completely transform their communication skills.
Yeah. And before we jump into the actual mechanics of this cognitive bottleneck, I want to invite you to subscribe to the Smart English YouTube channel and leave a comment on our latest video. We honestly love hearing about your personal language journeys.
We really do. And our mission today is to uncover what actually separates those basic survival-level language skills from true confident expression.
Right. We are going to map out a highly practical, step-by-step weekly routine to finally bridge that gap. Because whether you're learning English or any other language, getting past that wall is, well, it's everything.
It really is. And for anyone unfamiliar with the terminology, we're talking about the CEFR scale, the Common European Framework. B1 is that intermediate level.
Right, the survival tier.
Exactly. It's the tier where you've acquired enough basic tools to survive the trip abroad, maybe order food, or handle those casual workplace greetings. You are definitely no longer a beginner, which is, a massive achievement.
Oh, huge. But the cruel irony there is that surviving is not the same as thriving. The B1 plateau is just deeply frustrating because that initial thrill of rapid progress, it just vanishes.
Yeah, it completely disappears. You put in hundreds of hours, you understand the content, you navigate the basic interactions, but you just feel stuck in the middle.
You're essentially trapped in the realm of I manage.
I love that phrase. I manage is the perfect descriptor. I mean, it's highly functional, but deeply limited.
Right. Like you can watch videos, you read social media posts, and you survive your daily conversations, but you're relying heavily on these incredibly broad stroke words.
Yeah, everything is just good, bad, nice, or difficult.
Exactly. You state these super simple facts like my job is good or I like my coworkers, and the friction happens the exact second you try to step outside of that highly controlled environment.
Right. The moment a native speaker speeds up or, uses a common idiom.
Yes. Or the topic shifts just slightly off script and boom, the conversation leaves you behind. You want to explain the nuanced reasons why your job is stressful today, or maybe give a delicate opinion about a recent decision your boss made.
But then you open your mouth and all that comes out is, yesterday I went to work and it was bad.
Right. And that creates this painful psychological friction because you're an adult. You have a sophisticated mind. You're capable of abstract thought, humor, complex reasoning.
But your output mechanism, your B1 vocabulary and syntax, it forces you to communicate almost like a young child.
Exactly. Your internal thoughts are running at 100 miles an hour, full of all these vivid colors and deep shades, but your speaking ability is just severely limited.
It's so frustrating.
It's honestly exactly like trying to print a high-resolution 4K full-color photograph, but you're forced to send it through a 1990s black and white fax machine.
Oh, that's such a perfect analogy.
Right. The image in your head is a total masterpiece, but the hardware you're using to transmit it just does not have the bandwidth to capture the detail. And, I have a hypothesis about why we get stuck here for years.
Okay, let's hear it.
Well, the human brain is incredibly lazy, or rather, it's highly optimized for energy conservation.
Right.
Once you have enough English to order a coffee and, not get fired from your job, your brain decides you've survived.
Wow. Yeah, it stops building new neural pathways because the immediate danger is gone.
Exactly. It just shuts off the growth engine.
And that is precisely the cognitive science behind the plateau. Your brain habituates to that survival level. It takes massive, intentional cognitive effort to build new pathways.
And people assume that breaking out of this survival trap just means, I don't know, studying more flashcards or memorizing a dictionary of advanced, scary-looking words.
Right? They think they need to upgrade the image in their head, when really they just need to upgrade the bandwidth of the fax machine.
Okay, so if the 1990s fax machine is the problem, what does the upgrade cable actually look like? We have to define what the B2 level, that upper intermediate promised land, actually requires.
Yeah, we do.
Because I always assumed that getting to an advanced level meant, achieving flawless grammatical perfection
Yeah.
and speaking at this lightning-fast native speed.
And that right there is the most damaging myth in language learning. I mean, the curriculum we teach at Smart English explicitly outlines what real B2 does not require.
Which is?
You do not need perfect grammar. You do
Yeah.
not need native speed. And you absolutely do not need fancy academic C1 words to express yourself clearly.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit. Because, like, every single language textbook focuses obsessively on grammar rules. If I don't need perfect grammar and I don't need a massive new dictionary of fancy words, what exactly am I working toward?
That's a fair question.
Is it just because native speakers are actually quite sloppy with their own grammar and casual speech?
Honestly, yes, that is a huge part of the reality. Native speakers use sentence fragments constantly. They restart their sentences midway through.
Right, they pause, they use filler words.
Exactly. And they make grammatical errors in spoken conversation all the time.
Uh-huh.
B2 is not about academic perfection. It's about communicative competence.
So what defines it then?
It's characterized by slightly more precise vocabulary, sure, but more importantly, it is defined by longer, clearer sentences. It's the ability to handle abstract topics like motivation, stress, future goals, rather than just pointing at concrete things in a room.
Ah, okay. And the sources specifically highlight storytelling as a key indicator here, right? A B2 speaker can guide a listener through a sequenced narrative using markers.
Yes, they don't just drop isolated facts. They lead you logically from point A to point B.
And to do that, you're basically upgrading your structural tools. Like, think of your language as the human body. Your basic vocabulary words, the nouns and the verbs, those are the muscles and the bones.
Right.
But right now, at B1, you lack the connective tissue. You need the linguistic tendons and joints that allow those muscles to move fluidly together.
The connective tissue. I love that. In language, that tissue consists of connectors, words that seamlessly link two simple ideas together.
And that's what transforms those choppy, isolated, kind of caveman-style thoughts into a flowing narrative.
Exactly. It is not about knowing the English word for ubiquitous or plethora. It's about knowing how to logically connect two basic facts without pausing for 10 agonizing seconds.
Yeah. And when you realize the secret lies in structure and connectors rather than a dictionary, I mean, it changes your entire approach to studying.
It really does. You aren't trying to acquire a completely new personality. You're simply trying to upgrade the language you already use every single day.
So let's look at how we physically train our brains to make this shift. Because seeing the transition from B1 to B2 in action is incredibly revealing.
Oh, absolutely.
We use this concept called shadowing and focus on upgrading daily phrases. We actually have a list of specific phrase upgrades directly from the Smart English curriculum.
Yeah, let's examine a classic B1 phrase about work. So at the intermediate survival level, a learner will typically just say, I like my job.
Right. It's functional.
Yeah.
Subject, verb, object, the thought is complete.
But the upgraded B2 version we provide is, I actually enjoy my job, but it can be really stressful sometimes.
Wow. Notice the immediate addition of nuance there? The B2 phrase adds a contextual condition using the word but.
Exactly. It demonstrates the cognitive flexibility to acknowledge that two opposing things can be true at the exact same time. You enjoy the work, and simultaneously it causes you stress.
It's so much more human. Let's analyze another really common scenario expressing disagreement. In B1 survival mode, you might say, I don't agree.
Right. It gets the point across, but it's blunt. It honestly feels like hitting a brick wall.
It really does. But the B2 upgrade transforms that entirely. It becomes, I see your point, but I don't completely agree with that.
That is such a crucial shift.
It is, and I notice a distinct pattern across these examples. Moving from B1 to B2 isn't merely a technical language upgrade, it is an emotional intelligence upgrade.
Oh, that's a great way to frame it.
Yeah, these phrases act as, like, social lubricants, saying, I see your point, but validates the other person before you introduce conflict.
Exactly. B1 speakers often sound rude, abrupt, or even childish completely by accident, simply because they lack these linguistic tools for politeness and emotional shading.
That is a vital observation for anyone learning a language, because language is inherently a social transaction.
Right, and the words see, point, completely, and agree, those are all basic B1 words. You already know them. But strung together with the right connective tissue, they create a highly sophisticated, face-saving disagreement.
You're showing the listener that you are actively participating in a human interaction, not just, translating a textbook phrase in your head.
Precisely. Let's look at storytelling. The B1 version. Yesterday I went to work and it was bad.
Classic. And the B2 upgrade. Yesterday I went to work and everything went wrong from the beginning.
See the shift there? We moved from a static statement, it was bad, to a dynamic narrative.
Yeah.
Everything went wrong from the beginning. Instantly creates suspense.
It actively invites the listener into the conversation. It prompts them to react and ask, oh no, what happened next?
Exactly. And when talking about the future, the B1 instinct is to just say, I want to be fluent.
But the B2 upgrade stretches that into, in the long term, I'd like to feel comfortable using English in any situation. It specifies a timeline and it adds a concrete condition.
It brings the why and the how to the what.
Right. But, understanding these upgraded phrases logically makes sense when we just sit here and discuss them on a deep dive.
Oh,
But simply listening to us analyze phrases isn't going to break your plateau. Tomorrow, when you are under pressure in a real meeting, your brain is still going to panic, default to its energy-saving mode, and scream, I don't agree.
yes, it absolutely will. Theory is entirely useless without a system to make it automatic. And this is where the smart English methodology truly shines.
Yes, we need a behavioral intervention to force the brain out of its comfort zone. And we have a 4-part weekly routine designed specifically to break this wall.
Let's walk through the mechanics of why this works, starting with step 1. Upgrade phrases, not your whole life.
I love this one. The foundational principle here is micro-targeting to prevent cognitive overload.
Exactly. If you try to change your entire speaking style overnight, your brain will reject it. It's too much.
Sure.
Instead, you identify just 3 basic phrases you catch yourself using constantly.
Phrases like, it's good, it's difficult, or I like it.
Right. You sit down with a physical pen and paper, and you intentionally write out a longer B2 version of those 3 specific phrases.
So it's good becomes it's generally good, but it could be better in a few specific ways.
Exactly. And you consciously force yourself to use those 3 specific upgraded phrases throughout the week. It is a highly manageable micro habit.
And then we move to step 2, which is where the heavy neurological lifting actually happens. This is the 5 to 10 minute daily talk.
This one is intense, but so effective.
It is. You choose a real topic from your life, a summary of your day, a problem at work, maybe a movie you just watched. For the first 2 minutes, you speak out loud in your normal, comfortable B1 style. You simply get the basic story out of your head.
Right.
But then, for minutes 3 through 5, you start over. You repeat the exact same story, but you force yourself to add details, conditional reasons, and connectors in real time.
And I want to be incredibly honest with you, the listener, about this step.
Hmm.
When you first try this 5-minute daily talk in your living room, you are going to feel completely ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. You will stumble over your words, you'll stare at the wall, you'll sweat, and you will feel like you're actually getting worse at English.
But that intense friction you feel, that is literally the sensation of your brain building new neural pathways. It is the biological process of neuroplasticity happening in real time.
Because the first run-through of the story clears the cognitive load of deciding what you want to say. Your brain no longer has to invent the plot.
Exactly. The second run-through forces your brain to allocate all its processing power to how you are saying it. You are moving from passive recognition to active recall.
So, if the daily talk exposes the gaps in your speech, how do you actually fill those gaps in real time without pausing for 10 uncomfortable seconds?
Well, this brings us perfectly to step 3. The curriculum suggests artificially injecting what we call connector cheat codes.
These cheat codes are the connective tissue we analyzed earlier, right?
Yes. The routine instructs you to memorize and intentionally overuse a specific set of transition phrases. Words like, actually, to be honest, on the other hand, in my opinion, and in the end.
Okay, but why does the system encourage overusing them? Like, that sounds like it would create really unnatural speech.
That's a valid concern. But here's the thing. When you are breaking a deeply ingrained habit, and B1 speaking is a habit your brain has relied on for years, you have to overcorrect to establish a new baseline.
Ah.
By forcing yourself to start sentences with actually, or to be honest, you are artificially injecting structure into your speech. But more importantly, saying to be honest takes about 1 full second.
And that buys your brain 1 crucial second to formulate the next clause without sitting in dead silence.
Yes, it is a brilliant processing buffer.
That makes so much sense. Like, if a colleague asks me if I liked a presentation and I say, It was good, but the data was bad. I sound like a B1 survivor.
Right.
But if I take a breath and deploy a cheat code, I can say, to be honest, the presentation was generally good. However, the data was a bit confusing. I instantly sound like a confident professional.
Exactly. All you did was use the cheat codes to buy yourself time to find the word confusing.
That's amazing. Okay, and step 4 of the routine addresses the most dangerous trap in language learning, the illusion of competence.
Yes. The step is to transform input into output.
Because we all fall into this trap. You watch 100 hours of Netflix in English, or you listen to a podcast, and you understand 90% of it.
Your brain releases dopamine, and you pat yourself on the back, feeling like you're making massive progress.
But passive recognition memory, just hearing a word and recognizing its meaning, is completely different from active recall, which is, pulling a word out of the void to use it yourself.
Exactly. Passive listening will never cure a speaking plateau. The routine demands that you stop the audio. You actually hit the pause button on the video or podcast, and you speak out loud for 2 to 3 minutes reacting to the content.
So you summarize the main idea, you state why you agree with the host or why you disagree.
Right. You have to force the vocabulary you just passively processed into your active working memory.
It's basically the difference between watching a YouTube video of someone assembling a car engine and actually getting your hands covered in grease trying to build it yourself.
That's exactly it. A B2 speaker doesn't just act as a receptacle for information. They interact with the information. They process it, manipulate it, and offer a perspective in return.
Okay, so we've covered the cognitive science, the difference between the B1 fax machine and the B2 bandwidth, and the importance of structural connectors. Let's distill this entirely into an immediate action plan for the week ahead.
Perfect. So the Smart English methodology provides a clear 3-step action plan. Step 1. Choose your 3 phrase upgrades today. Pick 3 basic sentences you use constantly, write out the B2 version with a connector, and practice them out loud until they feel natural.
Step 2. Commit to the daily 5-minute detailed talk. Tell a simple story, then tell it again, forcing yourself to use those cheat code connectors. And remember, embrace the awkwardness and the friction.
Yes, lean into it. And step 3 is the B2 challenge. Do one single thing this week that a B2 speaker would do. Join an online conversation group. Leave a detailed multi-sentence comment on a YouTube video instead of just dropping a thumbs up emoji.
Or record a 2-minute audio memo on your phone giving your opinion on a recent news story. Just do one thing that violently pushes you out of that B1 comfort zone.
The underlying philosophy of this entire deep dive is simple but demanding. You cannot reach B2 by continuing to practice B1.
Exactly. And before we wrap up, we have a final transformation exercise for you to do right now, wherever you are listening.
Yeah, take this very basic, very common B1 plateau statement. My English is okay, but I'm stuck.
Now, in your head, upgrade it. Add the context. Add the why. Use a connector to build the bridge. What does the expanded version sound like?
Well, the B2 direction sounds like this. My English is okay for daily casual conversations, but lately I feel stuck at the same level, so I am actively trying to push myself to speak more and use better vocabulary.
Just by practicing the mental gymnastics of that one sentence, you're pointing your brain's neuroplasticity in the right direction. Every single time you take a basic sentence and stretch it out, you are dismantling that wall brick by brick.
It requires significantly more cognitive effort in the moment. You will feel tired, but the long-term payoff is the ultimate goal of language learning. The ability to finally express your true, complex self to the rest of the world.
And as we look at this blueprint for breaking the language plateau, it leaves me with a much broader thought for you to chew on.
Oh, what's that?
Well, this framework moving past survival mode, adding nuance, utilizing connective tissue, and doing the intensely uncomfortable thing to force growth, it doesn't just apply to learning English. The mechanics of the plateau are deeply universal.
That's very true. Where else in your life are you currently relying on B1 level survival skills?
Right. Think about how you navigate conflict in your personal relationships. Are you just saying, I'm mad? Or are you doing the hard work of explaining the nuanced why behind your emotions?
Or consider your career or a creative hobby where you've just been coasting on the basics for years simply because they technically work and keep you out of trouble.
Exactly. What would actually happen if you started applying connectors, adding the why, and pushing past the comfortable illusion of just getting by in those critical areas of your life?
It's a great question. If you're tired of hitting the wall, maybe it's time to realize you don't need a whole new life. You just need an upgrade.
Perfectly said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Be sure to check out Smart English on YouTube, and we will catch you next time.